It is an honor and a pleasure, Wyatt. Always good to be on the mic with a Culver brother.
There you go. Yeah, no, there's nothing like catching up with the boys.
Subscribe and share to support the show.
Shall we head to my favorite planet in the galaxy? The planet of good vibes. The planet of good vibes.
The planet of good vibes. The planet of good vibes.
It's time!
All right.
I love humanity. I think it's great.
It's all good, man. I think the word you're searching for is Space Ranger.
The Hamm Planet Podcast.
We are blasting off into the galaxy of good vibes. In approximately 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Top of the morning, folks. Good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to the Hamm Planet Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Hamm, and if you're new to the show tonight, love to see it. Happy to have you here. You showed up for a good time ahead, I'll tell you that. The show is about three things, simple as that. Good vibes, great people, glorious stories. So if you're into that, stick around. Take your coat off, take your shoes off, grab a scotch. That's what you're into. Soak in the good vibes, because they're going to be in abundance tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we have a COVID survivor, a Culver Military Academy graduate, class of 2010, baby. Great class, I gotta add. He is a proud father of triplets, which you love that. He's got fourth on the way. Another reason to celebrate. Proud son of an entrepreneurial titan. He's a damn good man, and I'm happy to see him. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Mr. Wyatt McCloskey.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, good sir. Thank you for having me.
It is an honor and a pleasure, Wyatt. Always good to be on the mic with a Culver brother.
There you go. Yeah, no, there's nothing like catching up with the boys. Like, it's been a little bit for you and I. I mean, staying connected a little bit here and there, hitting the like button on all the Instagrams and
Love to see
all those things. Checking out the girl dad life, big supporter of that with my little girl and another girl on the way. And
love that.
But shoot, it's been what? I think the last time I saw you in person was
too long.
Your brother's wedding.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah, I think so. That's
well,
too
brother,
long.
Too long. But brother, great to have you on. How you feeling? Feeling good?
I'm feeling good. Feeling really good.
Really good.
A little tired at the end of the day. It's
hard day's work
coming up on the end. Yeah. Hard day of work.
Well, brother, that's what we do as good men, good fathers.
Yes.
Wyatt, we're going to kick it off to preface to the audience so they get to know who Wyatt McCloskey is. Brother, born and raised a lot in Indiana, but weren't born there. Brother?
No, wasn't born there.
Where did Wyatt McCloskey originally come from? And let's get some cliff notes from there.
There's speculations on that. So, born in Roswell, New Mexico, or, as my family likes to say, dropped off. Right. If you know anything about Roswell, right? So aliens,
town of aliens.
Hey, I didn't say it. You did.
You didn't say it, and I'm not saying that here. I'm just a Texan who saw it on the History Channel.
But yeah, born in Roswell, New Mexico. Grew up in a little town called Artesia. That is where my father, Mike, had his dairy farm at the time when I was born. Had my older brother Gus, my younger brother Troy, and my little sister, the youngest of all, Jackie.
Shout out to all of them.
We were there until I was 7, and then we ended up moving to Indiana, which was kind of a big journey for me. It's not like I was a super popular kid at that time. Shoot, you're like 7 years old. Like what? It's just kind of like a change you're going through.
Are people even popular at that age?
I think so. I mean,
I don't know.
a little
Yeah,
bit. I mean, it's got to
there's
be.
some
It's got to be.
hierarchy. Yeah,
Yes, for sure, for sure. Like there's like my kids, they're 7 right now, right? So they're always talking about like the one or two guys or girls in their class, right? So I
right.
think so, yeah.
Oh
But
yeah,
anyway, right, moving was kind of a big thing, especially going from desert climate to
we do that.
Midwest, Northwest Indiana, just humid, muggy. Mosquitoes were like a new thing, like the amount of mosquitoes, right?
So many
So,
skaters.
oh, so many mosquitoes. The accent, oh, there you go, right there.
Uh,
And
we-
the things you see,
yeah.
like, um, you know, I love my hometown. I love where I'm from, but
So when
if
did we
you
get
do
to
some,
When did we get to Indiana, brother?
would have been 98, 98,
98.
99.
And
Yeah.
that put you at
7 years old.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna say 8.
7 years old, like moved there summer, seven
Right.
years old, birthday's in October. So, turned 8,
Do you
a
have
couple months in Indiana.
Do you have memories of living back in New Mexico?
Oh yeah, man. Like
Yeah.
I can remember so much, man. We lived in the middle of nowhere. Like I said, I mean, real desert country, right? But the town and school and all that was like a good 20 minutes away.
Right.
But we lived out on the dairy, in the middle of nowhere, like I said. And
For sure.
yeah, no, I can remember so much, man. Like there's good memories of me and Troy jumping on the trampoline with like the crop duster, going 10 feet over the house, coming to hit the field right behind the house, making it feel like, at that age that it's 5 inches above you.
The crop
And, you're,
duster
you're hitting
is
the ground.
is a farming machine, right?
Oh, God, I would hope I don't have to explain what a crop duster is to people, but I guess,
You might.
I
I
guess
mean, not
we got
everyone.
all walks of life. Yeah.
We got all walks
Crop
of life.
duster.
There's definitely
Yeah.
a
Yes.
healthy amount of people who probably are like,
Yeah.
"What's that?
What? Huh?
Huh?"
Like, I mean, just like I would hope you've seen some classic movie with a crop duster in it, like a
Right.
a
If you
small
haven't
single,
seen one, you're
single or two-seating airplane that goes over a field and sprays. There's all sorts of methods for application nowadays with all the technology we have. Matter of fact,
it's a
I think it
plane.
was this summer. Huh? It's a plane, small plane, very small plane, and it
I'm
has
actually
it goes.
learning this too. I'll be honest.
Oh
I
God,
should know.
Peter.
Well, brother, you grew up born on the farm, raised on the farm,
That's
farm
true.
life.
That's true.
I mean, I'm not a city boy. I have been before.
You're
I've lived
sounding
in the
like a city
country.
boy.
You know, I'm just trying to learn, brother. Maybe I want to
I,
be a
I love
farmer one day.
I love that you're saying that, and then I like look past you.
Is it?
I'm not a city
This
boy or
is
anything, but
Well, we used to live in the heart of this city, and then we were like, we need to be out in the land, closer to the
yeah, dude, the
wild,
land's where it's at.
closer to nature,
But
closer.
yes,
Yeah,
back to crop dusting.
crop dusting.
Small plane fills up with different types of material to spray over crop, to help with whether it be insects, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah,
Some sort of application for a fertilizer could be anything to help and assist with plants. So, and just to fast forward it, I mean, shoot, this summer I was driving home from the dairy, not our property, but a different property.
right.
There's this huge truck in the middle of the road. I've never seen this before. And it's got this huge tank on it, and it's got all the hazard signs on it. So I know it's some sort of material, like a crop dusting material, right? I know it's going out into this field. But what I don't know is that
Right.
this helicopter that's getting closer and closer is going to land on this top of this tank. It's got a helipad on the top. And then a
And
guy
this is
goes
farming
up, hooks it up.
equipment with military.
This is farming equipment
style.
today. This
Great.
this
Yeah.
is today, right? This guy,
That's insane.
lands the helicopter. The guy in the truck gets out, fills it up, and he takes back off and keeps spraying the field. I mean, so from a
That's
small, like really old school single seat plane to now helicopters with like really cool applications that swivel, go out a little bit further. So, I mean,
so that's been awesome to see the change.
Yes. I don't think it'd be as fun. Like the way that a plane has to come in and swoop down really low Like
Right.
that feeling, like you could almost feel the pressure of that plane. Like it was so
That's scary.
close, right? It is. And as a kid, it's fun. Like being a little dangerous is fun,
Mike
especially as
is
a
flying.
kid.
Mike was flying that.
No, God, no. Mike doesn't know anything about
Flying the thing.
planes or even cars. I mean, his mother here. This will give
Yeah.
you a little note about Mike. His
Which
mother,
Mike is Wyatt's dad.
my
Great
father,
man. Uncle
born
Mike.
on the island. Born I believe in Pittsburgh, but raised up on the island of Puerto Rico. And his mother knew that there was a certain type of crowd that was the mechanic car guy crowd there in Puerto Rico, and they tended to get themselves into a lot of trouble, if you will. We'll keep it simple. And so my grandmother came
Yep.
up with this great plan to tell my father that car engines love eating little boys. And so my dad, like as a young boy, was scared of being around cars and car engines. And like, I mean, obviously at some point he realizes this isn't true, but like, that kind of stuff sticks with you for so long that you just don't
Just
have
have
that
it.
interest. That at the point of understanding that, oh, what I was told is absolute fabrication. But at that point it's almost like, well, I'm so disconnected from this anyway, I might as well keep doing what I'm doing. So he
Hey,
is
I don't blame
very
him.
mechanically set back in his ways for sure. He doesn't know a whole lot about it.
She wanted to keep him safe, which I could see.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a good idea for the time, and the place.
Well, brother, love that story, but I know you have no fear when it comes to many things in life. So, brother, you had a hell of a time flying on the crop duster, made the move to Indiana. Did we go to I know where we went to high school, still in Indiana, but everything leading up to your time at the good old Culver Military Academy was in Indiana.
Yeah, and I've always been a little bit of a troublemaker. Quick
Nothing wrong
background on me.
with that.
That's kind of why I ended up at Culver Military Academy in the first place. It was a deal between my father and I. It was like, hey, you do 1 year, and if you don't like it, you don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
And like in my mind, I'm like, I cannot wait to get through this year and get back home. And then you learn what Culver really is, and the connections that come from Culver and how beautiful those connections are. And man,
1,000%.
I couldn't wait to go back my sophomore year. Like, could not wait.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a common thing. Like that's basically the exact thing that happened with Chris, my big bro. He got sent to Culver originally for punishment. And it was like, we didn't know Culver at all. Like, for us, it was like, hey, this is just some military school out in nowhere,
Yeah.
And then he fell in love with it. So,
yeah.
No,
it's so easy to do.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to describe to other people.
I'm sure if you've got some steady followers, I bet you they've got a pretty good understanding by now how many people I can only imagine you've had a pretty good amount of Culver grads. Yeah.
Probably I'd say 20 to 25% has been Culver.
Very nice. Yeah, that's a great well to fucking pick from. I mean, you can always go back there. Not that just the average Joe or average high school or whatever it may be, like, isn't a good place to find stories, but I mean,
Culver people are just from all over, all different. Everything's everyone's
like
got
I said earlier,
a
all
story.
walks of life, man. Yeah.
All walks of life, brother. 1,000%. Okay, Wyatt. So we got to the good old Culver Military Academy. We loved it. And brother, what was the life of Wyatt like after graduating and growing as being a young man? Always a big learning chapter. I know
Oh yeah.
I went through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So after graduating, I kind of just for the summer worked on the dairy, just like every summer I would go work for my parents on their dairy farm and kind of help my mom out around the house and all the different things that she does for my dad. And
Were you milking
you know, no, I
before the
wasn't
machines?
milking at that time. I was working over at the anaerobic digester, which where we take our manure and make a natural gas out of it, right? So
Which is
turning that
an
natural
amazing
gas either
thing.
into into fuel for a converted natural gas engine that
Yeah,
carries some of our milk or
let's go into that really quick, brother.
okay.
So one part of Fair Oaks Farms is
Mm-hmm.
a fuel conversion facility or business,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not the exact terminology, but from what I know, you were just saying it as well. Manure
Yeah.
turns into fuel, helps
Yes.
move vehicles,
I
machinery,
mean,
farm
we're
equipment, you name
taking
it. What happens
millions
there,
and
brother?
millions of gallons of diesel off the road every year, right there. I mean, you're taking so many gallons of diesel off the road every year on a transport vehicle. Just like your average semi. So that's huge in itself right there. And not only are they doing that, they're
Yeah,
also using that gas that's collected, they're using that to power the entire farm on that. So I mean you have that, and you have this converted natural gas station where these trucks are filling up with a full tank of milk that they're going to go haul off somewhere. um I mean, it's just kind of like an incredible thing that's going on there, right?
yeah. Self-sustaining operation.
Yes, absolutely. Sustainability, transparency, everything. I mean, that's kind of the some of the pillars my father has kind of really built his business around.
1000 1000%. That's why one of the key reasons why I feel like he stands in a class of his own when it comes to farming innovation.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm a Fair Oaks fanboy. So, brother, what's the name of that process from the manure to fuel? Is there a name convert? It's just
Anaerobic
manure?
digestion. So
Anaerobic digestion.
digestion without air. You're creating, what you're doing is you're having a bacteria basically consume, the solids in this manure that go into this digester.
Poop from a cow is
And
manure, just for
poop from the
everyone out
cows.
there.
It's
Yep.
yep.
Healthy
It's
poop.
yep. And from that bacteria, they release a gas called methane, and we scrub that methane down and we turn it into a usable gas. Whether it's sending it, creating electricity out of that, and getting that to the grid. So when I say we power the whole farm off of it, it's not like we have this huge generator that the natural gas goes to and it creates like this actual power that goes to the dairy. It is doing that, but what we're doing is giving back to the grid, and the grid recognizes it as a credit, right? So
Right.
I'm not going to get too far into it because I honestly
It
don't know
makes
as much. It's more picking
yeah,
my dad's brain when he's around, right? But there's all
definitely
these
got a good
carbon credits,
understanding
and there's
of
all these different types of credits that you can do with these this natural gas.
it's fascinating.
I'm probably butchering this, but if you were to sit down with Big Mike, and he
Yeah.
tells you all these things and where it's going, and
Right.
how doing things like this, like taking manure and creating something and making energy out of it, doing things like this in the future, people are going to get a serious credit back on that. Because it's very
1000%.
clear where we need to go for the future, right? We need to be sustainable, and we need to be able to, take care
Self-sustain.
of our waste streams, and exactly try to
Yeah.
find a way to take something that is now known as waste and make something of it. Right. So I mean,
1000%.
think about a farmer. I don't know how far back you have to go. Let's just say the 50s. I mean, if you would have told a farmer, hey, that poop that you're just throwing out in the field,
Yeah.
one day you're gonna a
You're
diesel
gonna regret
truck.
that. You're gonna regret that, buddy. That's
So it's pretty cool to see where we've come, and to hear where we're going. And Dad, if you're listening, which that'd be really cool if you are. Sorry if I butchered anything. I hope you
Mike's
forgive me.
Mike's a legend. Brick by brick.
Brick by brick. Hey, bud. Hey, bud.
Oh yeah, bud.
Oh, he's touching sentimental strings over here.
Anytime I'm around Mike, I just listen.
Yeah,
Try and soak in.
That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, brother.
Oh yeah, bud.
We're talking the future. So farming been a massive part of your life.
Yes, yeah,
And
I would say farming's been a huge part of my life up until recently.
What excites you most about the future of farming?
Oh
What
man,
gets you the most hyped?
I think, I think what gets me most excited about farming is not only the community that you get from farming, but what it does for the community that it actually directly affects. And the more I see people getting behind that idea and really driving home that idea, the more I see the perception of dairy farming coming into a better light. Because let's be honest, like, I mean, there's some I don't even know if it's halfway anymore, but I know that there's
shouldn't be.
Yeah, there's a lot of BS going on out there, right? I mean,
I don't like it.
And let me put it this way: like, I'm not going to say every dairy farmer out there is doing the right thing. I mean, not going to get too deep into it, but everyone makes mistakes. Even our farm, even our farm has had some things happen on it that we wish hadn't happened. So I'm not going to say every farmer is doing the right thing, but what I don't like is the perception on dairy farming, and what I'm most excited about is the more people focus on this community of dairy farming and what it does for its own community. I think that really has I think that has an effect on the perception of dairy farming.
That community part you touched on, I feel like is huge. Mm-hmm. And I know
yes,
a lot of people in Texas can relate because they, a lot of Texas towns are just, hey, you go into the town, you get your farmers market stuff, you got your cattle. That was from old Rick down the street, and it's like everyone loves everyone. They get along, they work together, they're better because of it. It's like a great impact that farming can have on any community.
Yeah, no, the last dairy farm that I worked on was actually down in Texas.
Oh, no way. Which one?
Yeah, forgive me. I forget the name.
Or what town?
I don't even remember the name of the town. So
we got a lot of town,
but my whole point is, I mean, an hour north of Amarillo. I could tell you that. I would fly into Amarillo and drive an hour north.
Oh, up in the Panhandle.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
I got caught in a land hurricane out there. Was that fun?
They have.
What was that?
Well, I haven't been in one though. I've heard of them.
It's like being in it's like being in an actual hurricane, but it's like, I mean, you're literally, it's coming from the land. It's not coming off the ocean. It's just a windstorm from hell. I mean, nonstop blowing. I mean, I'm talking about barns just getting ripped down.
Yes.
But to your point, this whole community thing, I mean, literally, that town I was working in, there were more, and by leaps and bounds, there were more cattle than there were people in that town. I mean, that town was nothing but farming. And
some damn good people, I bet.
You go, oh man, the best. There are two places to eat in town. I knew everyone in town. I worked there for almost a year, working for a stretch and going home for a smaller stretch and then going right back out, and did that for almost a year straight. And the people were the best. I mean, and I got to know a lot of the people from that town, and I had a really good time with those people, and they were really about community. Like, they would have events every Sunday where people would bring stuff from this vegetable garden over here, and this this farmer over here would bring this, and they would have this big cookout, and like it was amazing. It was really about a community. Yeah. And like those are the things that I am most excited about for dairy farming. Like I could get into the robotic side of dairy, and I could get into all the technology that's coming along and where it's going to take us and lead us with efficiency and tracking and all these different things. But
Right.
I think what really gets me most excited is what I've said.
I agree, and I love that. I think, yeah, the futuristic stuff. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's always great to make the process more efficient, but at the end of the day, you know, we all have life on this earth, but are we really living? And I know those farming communities, they're living. They're living good. They're working together. We need
I would agree.
more we need more communities that are able to feel that. I feel like one
Yeah.
thing, when people live in major cities, it gets to a point that they don't even really understand what that way of life should be like.
I mean, yeah, no, I completely understand, man.
And it holds
I
a
mean,
ton of value.
you know the 2% number when it comes to agriculture, right?
Brother, what is the 2% number?
2% of the population is involved in agriculture.
Wow.
That goes from the farmer all the way to the guy who sells the farmer the seeds, all the way to the guy who cuts the crop, all the way to the guy who loads the crop, all the way to the guy who drives the crop.
That's
I mean,
a
it's
lot.
such a small percentage.
A lot of people they're feeding.
It's a tiny percentage of people that feed such a large amount of people. So, like you said, just the type of people that takes, it really takes a person who's about their community, and not only their community, but can look out and see everyone else in their communities as well, and where they come from and what it takes. And
it's a very like I don't want to say very communal thing, but very unselfish, like path of life.
You hit it on the head, man. That's the best way to say it.
Shout out to all of our farmers.
Yeah, shout
God
out
bless
everyone in agriculture. Everyone.
God bless them, brother. God bless
Yeah,
them.
been there, and I've seen it, and it is tough work, and little recognition for a lot of people, but it goes a long way, and we see you
Thank a farmer, ladies and
over here
gentlemen.
on Hamm Planet. We see you.
Yep. If you're hearing this message right now, give a farmer a good old thank you today. Should do it every day, but make sure you go ahead and do it. Brother Wyatt, so farming, helping mom a little bit during the summers.
Yeah, then
hanging at the house. And then we have triplets.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Well, man, there's a lot that happens in between there, but
absolutely, brother.
Yeah, so, I mean, to sum it up, it's college and getting a girl pregnant, right? Yeah, college is the best, right? I mean, my guy.
But I mean, because this is a topic we could probably talk on forever. Because the old surprise. But your surprise was with 3, brother.
Yeah. That's
quite the
story
wave of emotions.
The floor falling out from underneath me. It's actually a good story. It's like it's how I try to look at some things in life. Like, so I figure out that the mother of my children is pregnant, and it is what it is. We got to kind of figure out some things, but we go in because she's not doing too good, and we're a little concerned, and so we go in to the doctor, and they do just like a quick heartbeat monitor over just to make sure the baby's okay. And this midwife that's doing it, kind of just her head just like shoots up, and she smiles, puts the machine down. She says, "I'll be right back. I need to go grab a doctor." And I immediately knew and said out loud, "They're going to come back in here and tell us we're having twins." And the doctor walks in, and before they can even say anything, I go, "You're going to tell us we're having twins." And the doctor goes, "You're good." how did you know? And I said, well, she smiled and looked like she found something else. Like that was just what she looked like. She's like, what was that? Like surprised. And I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, well, you wouldn't be smiling if like something was wrong.
Right.
So I kind of just knew. And she said, yeah, you're right on. You guys are having twins. There's two heart. We heard two different heartbeats. Listen. And then they did it again. And
But
so
just
I'm sharing this story
Yeah.
at the actual ultrasound a week later with the woman who's doing the ultrasound. And I
it is
end
probably
it
like the
with,
talk of the
oh
it's
yeah,
like,
we're
oh, last
laughing.
week.
She's
Yeah.
literally getting the machine on. She's putting the jelly on the belly, and
Yep.
you know, she starts doing the ultrasound, and my story ends right when she starts. And I say, jokingly, so don't
Yep.
tell me there's a third one in there. and when she does a full swipe,
Yeah.
she just stops and like is pale white, and it just looks at me and she goes, there's three in there. And I just like out loud, I go, you're fucking with me.
Right.
And she this is word for word what she says back. She goes, sir, legally, I am not allowed to fuck with you. You are having three children. And like right there, the floor fell out
And
from underneath me.
what's the age of Wyatt at this moment?
24. A 24
Young lad.
young man. Just lost.
Lot.
I mean,
I mean 24. I
a
know.
bad, yeah,
Yep.
bad egg there.
Oh no.
But
A wise egg.
no, at that time, that guy was, I mean, I was, you know, I can gladly say it now, right? I'm almost 6 years clean. I was a bad cocaine addict back then. And, you know, even
Yeah.
in the couple months into my children's lives, I was an addict. So, you know, I was a bad egg at that time, man, you know, hurting a lot of people that love me and doing a lot of hurt to myself. And,
Right.
but, you know, I found, you know, interesting to say, I
6
truly,
years,
I,
brother. That's awesome.
yeah, no,
Hell
no,
yes.
you know, I like sharing things like that. I like being relatable. You know, I hope somebody hears this that's going through a hard time or, you know,
1,000%.
maybe it's just is struggling with something and they can kind of relate to this. You know, if I could do that for one person, it'd mean the world to me. But, you know, for me,
Hell yes.
I found, you know, my family and my friends, when I came out and I confronted this about myself, you know, I told everyone, you know, it was incredible to me, the support that I received, right? The love, the forgiveness that I was given, right? Over and over again. That's kind of something I see in my life where I've been forgiven by, you know, my parents a few times for making some bad decisions, and I've been forgiven for friends for doing the same thing. And but this was like something that really hit home for me. This is honestly like where I say,
Yeah.
I say this is like where I found God. I found God in my family and friends' forgiveness for what I did. And you know, there's other times later down the road where, you know, I've made mistakes in my life that I won't get too into detail about, but those mistakes, you know, ended up causing me and some others some real pain. And you know, again, I found God through their forgiveness, right? And I was given another chance in some things in life, and
I
that
love that.
redemption is really truly the sweetest thing in the world. You know, it I think it changed me as a person. I thought, you know, being a father was going to change me. I thought, you know, in my mind somewhere I was hoping that I could get away from this crazy addiction because I was going to be a father. But I was just
Right.
basing that off of the fact that I'm going to have a kid, and I hope that changes me. I wasn't ready to change for what I was, and
Yeah. And brother, I think a good thing that I love you said is how the way other people treated you, forgave you, were like accepting, helpful, and like showed that they still cared a shitload about you, even though maybe
mm-hmm.
in your mind at the time you're like, ah, like they probably don't want to, they don't want to deal with this. Or,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Like
it's hard.
I know, like I know that they forgave me, but I know at the same time, like, you know, when I came out about that, you know, being an addict, I know some of my siblings like were really mad at me, like, but they showed me forgiveness, right? But I know
Right.
deep down they were mad. I'm sure the same thing about my
Sure.
parents, right? They
Well,
were probably mad, but more than anything, they realized like, he's really lost right now and he needs help. And their forgiveness
yeah,
really like showed me that way.
yeah.
So
And it's a pretty remarkable thing, like how the way someone else will treat you can change how you act. Like pretty mind-blowing phenomenon that
yes.
I think people should always think about. Like, hey, you don't necessarily have to tell everyone what to do, but if you're just a good person to them, it can change their life completely.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
I definitely sound like that happened for you, brother, from a few people, I bet.
Yeah. A few people and a few different times. So,
And and there's always going to be some who are just like, nope, don't deal with it. Not you,
yeah, I
write
have
you
definitely
off,
burned my
and then,
bridges.
well, I mean,
I have definitely burned my bridges, that's for sure. But, you know, um, I can say like even though I've done, like I said, a lot of things, I'm
yeah,
really happy to go through some of those things. I wish I didn't have to hurt some of the people that I did, but like the lessons that I learned from those made it worth going through them for me. Right. And I think
1000%.
when people see that through your change, I think they can accept it as well. Like it was a good thing, even though it hurt them. Like they see the change and they can accept it for a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And I always try and think about it when someone's going through anything like that. I've gone through things like that. And I always try and think about, okay, how can I just make this person help them be better, but not you can't really tell many people what to do step by step and it happen.
Oh,
I mean, that usually sometimes makes people do the opposite
yeah, exactly.
when it comes to
Yeah,
their life as a whole.
yeah, yeah. There are very few people in this world where you can do exactly what you just said. Say something, and they just take it and absorb it, right? And they don't get upset, or you know, they don't exactly what you said. Just do the
Yeah,
opposite because it just pissed them off so bad. Like, hey, don't do this. Well, fuck you. I'm going to do it anyway.
right.
I wasn't even going to do it before, but just because you said don't do it, I'm going to do it.
When
I've probably done that myself
I do that still
100
sometimes, like with
times.
little shit,
Yeah,
with little shit.
yeah.
Oh, they'll be like, "Oh, you don't eat the full steak. Like, just you know, it's made for four people. Like, leave some.
uh,
Just be like, ah, you don't think I
and
can eat
then
the whole thing?
and then 3 packets of Alka-Seltzer later, like you still are just
Yeah,
dying.
you're still
Yeah,
sweating meat.
yeah,
But brother, to speak on that story, man, I know I appreciate hearing it. I know it takes some fucking balls to be open about those things. It's manly to talk about the shit you've been through
yeah,
and the shit you've done and what you've learned and be fully open and transparent about it. Takes a lot of strength, takes a lot of courage. A lot of
yeah,
people don't do it because it's not hard. But
yeah.
in
I
reality,
think
it's very valuable.
yeah, no, I think I realized that right away that like not only is it like make me feel good especially in the beginning, like it made me feel good to talk about that. Just to get it off my chest like over and over again. To let people know that like, hey, I've made mistakes, but I'm really trying. Um, it felt good, and I realized right away, like talking to some friends, that some of my friends maybe started viewing some things that they were doing a little bit differently. Maybe they were abusing something, some
1000%.
substance or something, and they just looked at it and saw that as like what you said. It's like, hey man, that was really brave for you to say that. And like one of my friends actually came out to me and was like, hey man, I've been abusing opioids like real bad. Like that's where I've been, you know,
Tough
when I disappeared
road.
for periods for a time, you know, and I kind of was like his sponsor, you know, like it was somebody, and you know, we've had our ups and downs, you know. When I quit, and I was done. Like that was it. And I haven't been back to it.
I like that.
I have been around it, you know,
Right.
just because it gets pulled out or it
It's
gets offered at certain times, and I'm just like, hey, you know, I don't. The very first time it ever happened,
right.
I declined it, and then a guy kind of really pushed it in my face, and you know, if I got offended and I took it personally because I was just
You beat
this
his
guy didn't
ass.
know my story. No, I blew it off. He was shoving something in my face, and I blew it off, and he got mad, and I just, you know, I told him to piss off, and it was nothing escalated from it. But I realized after that I didn't need to do that. I could have just walked away
Yeah.
because, you know, this guy doesn't know my story, right? He just thinks I'm like, you know, maybe I'm a pussy and I don't want to try cocaine. But really, if he knew my story, I'm sure he would never
Ain't no
even pull it
pussy.
out in front of me.
Right.
So yeah, no, sir. But
Well, brother, I mean,
I was done with it. And this guy, you know, this guy that I was trying to help is kind of up and down. But I can say I'm real proud of him now because he's kind of off that train, and you know, he has been for a long time. You know, he's doing a little bit better in life, and you know, he looks good. And so like doing those things, it feels good. So anytime like you know, I've helped a few people in life. Anytime I hear that type of
yeah,
response to being open about that, I I try to do anything I can to help.
I love it, bro. I think I think it would be great if more guys, men can have that view on things like that because they can help a lot of people. Because
Yeah,
guys usually are the people who've seen the most shit, been through the most, dug through the trenches, been to this place where God knows you don't want to go back, or done X, Y, or Z where they almost died, and good to share, good to just
yeah.
share because
No,
it teaches.
yeah. Anytime I can share that, I like to, especially like a platform like this. Like, you know,
Hell yeah,
anybody listening, like I said, one person and take it to heart.
I know I know it will be one or 100 or who knows, could be millions one day, brother. We'll see,
One day.
brother. Love to see it. All right, Wyatt. So, brother, three kids,
So now
24,
yeah, 24, three kids.
and
Now
now your
it's
kids are how old?
um
Or
they're gonna
they're
be seven.
younger.
They're literally gonna be seven in shoot, I think 3 weeks.
Love it.
3 weeks and some days, 4 weeks, depending on when this episode comes out.
Yeah, it'll be out probably next week. Yeah,
All right.
if
Yeah,
not sooner.
so 3 weeks. It's the
What
kid's
day do we
birthday.
need to send a present?
March 22nd. You know, funny story.
March 22nd. Oh
We
yeah, it'll be out
yeah,
before then. That'll be good
we
timing
were
then.
we were in the hospital early with those kids because the mother of the kids is a very small woman. So we're on bed rest very
Right,
early, and you
right.
know, so they're seeing us for this long time. We actually ended up doing a betting pool with the doctor staff of 9 people, you know, and when is this baby going to be born? And I had a little journal that I was like just drawing in or whatever, like playing tic-tac-toe or whatever, doing stuff in, right, to write in.
Love
And
tic-tac-toe.
I had a page with all the doctors' names and their date that they picked, and like everyone that wanted to be a part of this, right? And my lucky number is 22. Just has been since I was a little kid. No significance, no player, no nothing. Just I like two
Spiritual
twos.
connection.
One is not enough. Three threes is too much. Two. That was it. And so,
I vibe with them.
you know, um,
So we're drawing on the
so
notepad.
22 was the, you know, I was picking, okay, 22 should be the date. Knowing obviously, you know, 9 months, maybe we get 8 months out of this. I knew kind of around where it would be. So I picked, you know, 2 as the date, lucky, right? And there's three of them. So I was like, you know, it's going to be born March 22nd.
Were you trying to
And
get one
I picked
9 months earlier?
trying to get a kid. No. Oh, no.
Okay.
I can't say no enough.
Right.
Very happy that I have the kids now and wouldn't change a thing. But no, I was
1,000%.
not.
Hey, it happens.
Yes.
But
So
just like Drake says, you can always bet on fatherhood.
yeah.
So we're drawing in the
Yes.
notepad. 22.
Yes. Yeah, I picked that number. Kids are born 322. So I was the winner. I
love
won't
that.
say there was money because I don't think you're allowed to bet in a hospital. So that it wasn't money. It was for lollipops. But I won a bunch of lollipops.
I don't know if there's. I bet there's. Is there gambling restrictions in casinos or gambling restrictions in hospitals?
And I would imagine. So it was very like like I said,
May
it was
not be
lollipops.
specified.
Yeah, I'm not. It may have been something else, but yeah.
And brother,
But
we got
anyway,
a
so
fourth on the
kids,
way. Or
yeah. Well, you're jumping.
we're
Far ahead. Yeah,
jumping.
we'll get there.
We'll get
We'll
there.
get there.
We're
Let's
just
keep.
excited.
We're almost linear here, so we'll keep it. We'll
Yeah,
keep it going, right? So
linear is great.
kids are born, and for the first, I think it was 7 or 8 months, maybe 9 months, we stayed at my parents' house. Everyone. My brother was living at home at the time. My sister was still at home. Getting help. As much help as we could get. Eventually hired some nannies at nighttime because it was like, it was 3 of them at the same time, and it'd be one would wake up and then you'd get them to sleep, and the next one would wake up, and so you'd be up for hours on end. I think I clocked in 83 hours straight, one go, and that's where that was the last straw where I was like, hey, I need help at nighttime. Like we need to hire a nanny at nighttime, and I wasn't working at the time because it was what am
It's
I
a full-time job.
What are you supposed to do at that point, right? So parents are helping me out big time, all with the plan of I'm talking to a company that was based out of Wisconsin that does automation on dairy manure management equipment, which is kind of like what I started to really fall into when it came to dairy. And so I realized very soon that I was going to have to move up to Wisconsin to be a part of this company. So I moved up there and still hadn't, quit doing coke. So I'm still not the best guy, right? And I'm at this job for a little while. I do okay, but just obviously not making good decisions in life, just not having my head on straight. It just got me fired eventually. Not that I was doing drugs on the job or anything like that. I just kept making silly mistakes that my boss didn't want to keep having to pay for. So, he let me go. I ended up having to move back home, and that's kind of when things really like fell apart for me. And it came out that, I was doing these drugs, and, that's where the mother of my children and I really just kind of split ends. And she ended up kind of moving into a house kind of close to my parents' place. And, I kind of was able to keep connection with the kids. And I was working on the dairy through a different company now, just still working on manure management equipment. And
battling back.
Yes, now I'm clean, right? But,
this is 6 years ago.
Yeah, I must have been 290, 300 pounds at this time.
Really?
Really overweight. Like once I quit doing cocaine,
bro,
I was pretty fat
thick?
I was pretty fat during like doing cocaine, which is funny. Like, already laying good East Coast comic. Back to that.
You
has a
don't
joke about
expect
being the only person to get fat on cocaine, and like I was like, no, me too. Like, and I'm sure there's others, but
well, you do it all
huge.
night. You don't eat,
yeah,
and then you eat like 3
binge eat
pepperoni
pieces.
Dude.
Exactly,
it's a mess.
Exactly. Allegedly, right?
According to scientific studies.
You missed that.
It's only for entertainment purposes only.
So,
like
I've got myself clean. I'm starting to view life differently, but I'm not in really good shape, right? And it took me a little while to realize like I needed to change that. Yeah, Big Wyatt. Big Wyatt was hunting one day, and there was actually some guys that I had no, like literal poachers. Like, a guy just drove up in my field where I was hunting, and I was kind of freaking out. I was like, I gotta go stop this guy. And I go to run to my car, which is in the woods, so he would have never seen me. And I'm running, right?
Indiana guy, just some Indiana hunting folk.
I ended up catching up to him, and it's just some guy. And I had the police come check his tags just in case he was a felon. He said he was just looking at the deer, but
yeah, sure you are.
We let him. He had a warning, but the DNR was told that he was over there. But anyway, that's a longer story. But I swear I was going to have a heart attack. Like when I got to my car from running, I mean, I've never had that like hard of a feeling in my chest. I honestly thought I was having a heart attack. I was like, my heart was just working so hard. I was so out of shape. The drugs, I'm sure, took a real hard toll on my heart as well. And so, like, it hit me where I was like, holy shit, man. I'm like, what at that time I would have been 25 at that point, maybe just turning 26 because it was hunting season in October. So yeah, I'm 26 years old and I feel like I'm going to die of a heart attack. I mean, and at that point for me, I was like, I've got to change this. Right. So I started I started dieting, started just eating a lot better, just making like little changes here and there. And
brick by brick.
Yeah.
Brick here,
right?
Brick there.
And, kept working for this manure management company, and I did a little bit better and better for myself. And, I started getting to go to shows and, trying to sell equipment at shows to dairy farmers all over, certain places. I ended up going to the World Dairy Expo, right? So, expos out in California, all these fun things. Yeah, I had a great time and I learned a lot, and like, life started really rolling in a good direction for me. And, some things happened with the company and I ended up getting laid off. At that point I was, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I didn't want to stop doing sales and kind of having fun like that. But, at the same time I've got kids and I wouldn't mind not being on the road. But really quickly, just with Dad's help, connections all over the world with dairy, I ended up working with another manure management company, and ended up working in a couple different areas. And then, like I said, the last place I ended up working was, an hour north of Amarillo. And, some things happened some things happened at my family farm, and that caused me to end up leaving that job. I came back home and really kind of helped out with what was going on. And, I did that for I think the next year to a year and a half. And towards the end of that time, although what happened, really brought me and my family really close together. And not that we haven't been close, it just brought us even closer together. And we all got to work together again.
Providing great values.
Yeah. We were all at home helping out at the farm, like all of us, all the kids, mom, dad, everybody. Right. So, even though it was a great time for what it was, I kind of felt lost at the end. Like I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to continue doing. And I really didn't want to go back out on the road anymore. At that point, I really wanted to focus more with my kids as they were getting older, and, getting to spend that time with them became more valuable, right? Like, they are truly understanding things in a different way than just being a 2, maybe even late 3-year-old, right? Now they're 4 or 5, years old, and they're telling you things, and I don't want to miss this stuff, where, I can say, like, in the earlier stage, like, I loved it and I was really good at it, but I loved when they started talking and you could kind of get a little rowdy and wrestle and do all these fun things. Like that is 1,000%. Where I turned into super dad. Like, I mean, my parents will tell you I was super dad from the beginning, but that for me is where I felt like super dad.
There's only so much you can do with a little baby like this when you're a big guy.
Exactly. So
I fully agree, bro. It's
I was ready to be home. And
it's a special thing
this
when
crazy
be alive,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But this, I felt lost. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do. and like all at the same time, like where I am now and the wonderful woman I am with today, like kind of all almost happened simultaneously. Like,
Act of God.
I think the job came first, right? So, I live in this little town called DeMotte, Indiana, Northwest Indiana.
Out in the
What up,
country.
219, the region? If any, there's some Culver people listening to this. They might be from the region. What up? What up? Stop by. Open 8:30 to 6, Monday through Saturday. Shout the plug.
Come through.
Um,
Definitely. This is a recommendation.
uh,
5-star Google review from me
so
and many others.
um,
Thousands.
I've lived here since I was 7. Like I said, I've been shopping since I could drive. I've been a food fanatic for a very long time. Let's go back. Since I was like 7, 8 years old, I've been, making omelets for all my friends at sleepovers. I mean, really nice omelets for a 7, 8-year old. Like, better than your guy at a 4 or
IHOP.
5-star. No, IHOP is a shame. I'm talking about the guy that makes the little omelet in the corner of the nicer
Ritz-Carlton.
hotel. Yeah. Maybe
The
not
Four
Ritz.
Seasons.
Ritz has got a
The DoubleTree.
DoubleTree. Perfect.
Marriott.
That guy
Yeah,
and me,
DoubleTree.
like I could stand right next to him and do what he was doing. Like I loved cooking since I was a little kid. Like I've watched my mom and grandma cook since I was so little, and I've loved it. And I just, I've always had this sense of entertaining people through food. Like I just like that feeling of, cooking for people, getting their reaction, all these different things. It was
flipping the omelet gets everyone
it was
fired
a
up.
thing. Yes, the no spatula, just the good old wrist.
The old wristaroo.
Um,
Wyatt,
but-
got a quick question, real quick, brother. Asking about your bounce back.
Okay.
In regards to it, what was like the one main factor or change, or just one main thing that helped you bounce back that you could kind of pinpoint?
I think it's hard
Working out,
to
reading,
be
being with people, church.
It was being with people. It was being with people. Like I'm not a big churchgoer. I'm a big God guy, but I'm not a big churchgoer.
Right.
But for me, it was being around people.
Yeah.
Especially the people who love me, and that's what really got me through it. Yeah.
And there's the same dopamine and endorphins that come from doing.
Let me stop you there.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing outside of that helped me, and this is where something I've talked about already, it really fell into place, was comedy. Like, and specifically, like I started listening to a lot of East Coast, New York comics, like, and that brought me, when you said the dopamine, the serotonin, that feeling that like was so low for so long for me after that, because I was just derived of it.
Yeah. The receptors probably may have been
they were shot. They were shot. And what brought me back was comedy. I mean, shout out Big J Okerson. If you don't know him, it's rowdy, it's raunchy.
It's
I'm
real.
talking about pubic hair in your dick hole type shit, like raunchy. But very, very good comic. Very
you can
great,
laugh and feel genuine happiness from just watching or listening.
Yeah. No, that's what got me, truly. Like that's what really got me through like those tough times of feeling.
That's good to hear. That's great.
Empty, because like you can feel good around like your family, but like to have that laugh, like to laugh about something like that really triggers something in your brain, right? Like, and that really helped me.
And so the hypothalamus starts going off. One of the things in the brain.
One of those.
Not a brain expert.
I'm not even going to start. But that really got me through it, and that's what developed such a love for comedy. Like, and I have such a love for it, man.
Man, me too. And it's like amazing the power of it, the power of laughing, the power of just, for lack of a better term, just dicking around, being funny,
Yeah.
being goofy,
Yes.
talking a little
Yeah.
shit.
If you like that, you gotta check out Hey Babe.
Most people, I feel like most people do, or if they
Oh
don't,
my
they're maybe a little
God.
too tight around the edges. But
Yeah.
I'm not a
Like
dyke
those
poster.
types of podcasts are just the absolute best, man. Just like you're saying here, like just
Right.
good,
Good
like
vibes.
good vibes, good story, great stories like that.
Good
That's what it's
vibes,
about.
great people, glorious stories, brother.
There you go. Shit.
You were close. We'll count it. We'll put him down for one. All right, Wyatt. So appreciate giving some insight on that because I know that will help
Yeah.
people, and that's honestly
Yes.
an answer I feel like people haven't told the world much. They're probably
Yeah.
like, yeah, I worked out. I ran like 10 miles every morning. You're like, oh, okay,
Yes.
great. I got to do
Yeah.
that
Not
if I
all
want to
people can
quit.
do that.
Yeah.
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 No,
So
there's different ways.
hell yeah.
I
And
would
that's
say
a good
first and
way.
foremost, having a belief system really helps. But and then you got to find what makes you laugh. Like I
Yeah.
would say that's what you have to do. You have to find something that just makes you laugh.
1000%. And I will say one thing, I mean, that has helped me when I've struggled with things is really just building confidence by doing what I say. And you got to start small and then kind of build it up, but that's like a big foundational piece in my opinion. Which I'm still late to some things. I'm working on it, but you know, it's it's a powerful thing. Yeah. And laughing in between, following through,
Mm-hmm.
and then things just start clicking. And then next thing you know, you got a beautiful wife, uh,
Yeah.
a new, were you saying you
New
got a
business.
new business?
Yeah. So literally right where I was leaving off in the timeline, like
Yeah.
I used to shop at this butcher shop, real old school butcher shop in my hometown.
Right.
And I've been shopping there since I was like 16, 17 years old. And all the
Love
way
that.
up until, literally I'm in there at the beginning of the week. At the end of the week, my dad says, "Hey, can you meet me at the house at 5 on Thursday? I really want to sit down and talk to you about something, opportunity for you."
Love that.
Okay. And it's funny, like I was saying earlier, I mean, I'm feeling like kind of lost at this point. I don't know what I want to do. I know I don't want to go back on the road, but I don't know. Do I want to keep doing dairy? Do I want to work on dad's dairy? Do I want to try to go work for another dairy? I don't know. I don't know what I wanted to do. And
1000%.
I get this offer from my dad. So he was offered to buy this butcher shop in my hometown. The guy who owned it wanted the dairy to buy it.
The butcher
And my
shop
dad
you would
didn't.
go to.
Yes. And my dad and nor the dairy wanted anything to do with it, but he did reach out and say, I think my son might want something to do with this. And, we took a look at it. We sat down and, long story short, here we are a year and 2 months later. I've been the proud owner of that butcher shop in this lovely town of DeMotte. And, I love going to work every day, even though it can be incredibly stressful, especially at certain times of the year, like holidays and whatnot.
Out of meat.
I love what I do. I really do. Day in, day out.
What do we
Love
do
what I
with
do.
the butcher shop? Just curious. I've
Well,
never been a butcher,
I
but I love
mean,
butchers.
okay.
And I love
So
cow.
there's
And
a
I love
couple
all meat.
different things. I don't mean to offend anybody by calling myself a butcher, but I learned, just for a year and a half, I worked for this gentleman before I actually bought the business from him. So I
On the
say
ropes.
I said a year and 2 months. That's how long I've owned it, but really it's been almost 3 years since I've been there. So I learned the ropes before I took over. I learned how to cut off of box meat. So what that means is like instead of getting a quarter of a cow or a whole half of a cow and breaking down each primal piece for what it is, I
Right.
get the actual primal piece by itself, right? So I'll order a box of ribeyes or, boneless ribeyes or chuck rolls or New Yorks or flank steaks or whatever it may be, right?
Oh,
And
so
then
good.
I clean those up, I trim them, I cut them for steaks or for roasts or whatever I'm doing with that specific cut. And I offer it to my customers at whatever price, right? So, for this first year, I really tried to keep, it's been one guy's place for the past 30 years, right? He's really built a name for himself and for the business, which is called Yesteryears. And a lot of people know Yesteryears.
One more time, brother.
Yesteryears.
Yesteryears. And
Yesteryears.
Can we get,
so like
say if we're listening
of
right now,
past.
could we pop by and get a steak or?
Well, not right now, but yeah, dude,
Not
like tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Yeah, I had to. But yeah, no, like you can stop by and get a steak. Hell yeah. I mean, I love taking people around the shop. Like when I can, there's a few things that I see, cues, or even sometimes people will say it out loud. Like, I've never been here before. I don't know what to get, but sometimes I'll see people looking around at like everything. And I'm like, maybe that person's new. And I haven't seen them before. I don't recognize them. And I'll just walk up and say, hey folks, you need any help finding anything? And most of the time, if they've never been there before, at that point, they'll just say, hey, this is my first time here. I don't know what to get. And I love that experience, like for me and for that customer, because I love taking them around, not only the whole front of the shop. Some people, like, if they really have an interest in me, and especially if the back of my house is clean, which it is a majority of the time, but sometimes you've got orders and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff going on in the back. But if somebody shows some interest in me, I love showing them the back, right? The smoker, my coolers, how I do my jerky, how I do my sticks, how I make my sausage, all the things that I do. I love doing that, right? So this first year was
music's in my ears.
Oh, I know, but you got to come. I can't wait till you're back in the area, man.
Oh, I'll be back. I'm going to be back here for my tenure.
Oh, well, is that this year?
That's this year. I'll have to come through. Maybe we'll do a little.
What's the date? I got to write that down right now and check something afterwards.
Weekend of May 19th.
I think somebody just asked me to do something that day too. May 19th. Okay, I'm
coming a little early.
I love my children's. I love my children's, but I hope I don't have them that weekend so I can go spend Saturday night out there with you.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
And I'll come by the old butcher shop.
Yeah, dude, come by. I'll get a package put together for you for the weekend, just for grilling out and cooking and whatnot.
Oh yeah. What's Wyatt's favorite cut of steak?
I would have to say, I don't know, man. I love a short rib.
Short rib. Can't beat
it.
But,
that's a slow braising type of a meat. You want that to be like pull apart, shred. That's not like something like you cut up with a knife and eat like a steak. I mean, you can if you want to, but the way the fibers and the way just everything about that piece screams, simmer me slowly and pull me apart. And when you do that right, it is so good.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I would have to say that, or I love a good skirt steak. And you can't beat a porterhouse. I mean, everyone's like, oh, I love a ribeye. I love a ribeye too, but I can get a New York and a filet mignon on one steak with a porterhouse. I mean, for me, that's the ticket. Like, getting both those two types of meat, I'm okay with that.
Money in the bank. So, brother,
I'd say that's money.
We got the butcher shop going strong.
Yep.
Beautiful wife and the kid on the way.
Now to the beautiful wife with a kid on the way. There's a good story to this. It's it's like I'll write stuff down in my notes every once in a while. Like, a couple years back too, your boy here wanted to do his own podcast, but ended up, falling into this butcher shop business. And that really took a lot out of me. Yeah, no, I'm loving this. This is fun.
I bet.
But anyway, I was told that this could be a love story written in a novel or movie, like literally the way that we know each other, it's through my parents. I mean, I should say our parents. My father and her father were, great friends. Some of like best of friends since they were like 17. They've known
Wow.
each other for a long time. And then we started going on family vacations. And what's
Damn,
hilarious
that's
is I think
amazing.
5 family vacations together as families, right? And my wife, my now wife, is there, on
Right.
these family vacations, and I remember her on every vacation because she is just gorgeous. And I mean, she was back
Right.
then too. So it's like for me, I remember like seeing her every time and just being like, oh my gosh, this woman. Like, and I always thought she was like 10 years older than me. I've
Yeah.
been told not to say how many years older she is than me, but she is a little bit older than me. So
Cougar. Nothing wrong with it.
but
Yeah.
she will tell you that she does not remember me whatsoever from those family vacations. So that's great, right? So
So then you became a man,
anyway, yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
butcher.
So long story short, she graduated college, worked in some different companies in Mexico, and then um, she wanted to come to the States and work somewhere in the States. Her and
Yeah.
her family are from Mexico. So,
Right.
she reached out or had her father reach out, asked my father, hey, is there anywhere, that maybe you could help Marianne get a job, come in with a work visa, this, that, and the other. And my father ended up helping her out, getting her a place to work at Fairlife in Chicago.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I remember my dad telling me he was going to the airport to pick somebody up. Don't remember who, but I was just sitting at home. At this point, I'm long separated from the mother of my children. I'm a single guy at home, sitting there honestly in the kitchen with my best friend,
Right.
and we're shooting the shit.
Not looking for
And
love
all
on
this,
that day. Not
no, not
necessarily.
looking for love on
Or
that day.
not thinking it was coming to get
Just
you
with one
either.
of the boys shooting the
Just
shit.
shooting the shit with the boys.
And it didn't come looking for me either. So but we'll get
Still
there.
had to
But
go chase it.
I hear the door open, and I hear my dad talking in Spanish, and so I kind of like round the corner, and I see my dad, and I go over to walk, and I'm gonna help take the luggage of this guest, to
As a
whatever
gentleman
room they're gonna
should.
stay in, right? Just yep,
Yeah.
yep. Dad raised me right. So,
Yep.
and she kind of comes into frame from behind him, and I was just like, I immediately recognized her, right? But like she's only prettier, and
Right.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, right? So I give her a hug. I say, hi, how are you? It's so nice to see you. And she goes to bed, right? And my friend happened to come out and say hi as well. And so when she went away, he was like, yo, who's that? I
Yeah.
was like,
Who's
that is
that?
gonna be my wife,
You told
word for
your homie
word.
that night.
And like he had to call her because she didn't believe this story. Like once we got married, somewhere down the line, like I told her this story that
Yeah.
like I told him that night, the first night I saw her, like again after so many years of being on a family vacation. I think it was like a 12-year hiatus of seeing each other, right? And
That's
I say
crazy.
that the first night, and it took a lot of like chasing, not, I wouldn't say chasing, it took like I tried everything in my power I could to not be like, not seem too thirsty, to not like, I'm sure I failed
You're
epically. I'm sure
doing trying your
I
best.
thought I thought I was doing so good, and like my wife, like after we started dating, I just was like, no, like you were you were horrible. Like it truly took me getting to really know you to like for her to really like kind of fall for me, right? So but after like
That's
a couple
amazing, bro.
months of just being her friend, making up stories, saying, because she was living in Chicago at the time, which is like an hour and 15 from my house,
Yeah.
and I would say, hey, I'm in Chicago doing this and this, do you want to grab dinner? And she'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And
Sure.
I was not doing anything in Chicago. I literally would just drive up
You
to
just
dinner, right? So
drove Chicago.
just
Yeah, I had a
drove out
meeting.
to go to
I thought I'd maybe come say hi.
exactly.
I love
Exactly. I mean, I was infatuated with her, man, and still am. And
I love it.
so yeah, long story short, we started dating, and we didn't date that long before we got engaged because we were a part of that whole generation, which is going to be such a funny story. So many people are going to have the same exact story to tell their kids
Right.
that, Mom, Dad, how did you guys get married? Like, or how did this all happen? Da, 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 da. For us, I want to say we were together for like a little over a year, like only like a year and 2 months we were together before we got engaged. But
Yeah.
that year and 2 months that we were together, we started dating in like October-ish of like before pandemic, right? So, pandemic hits, and she's up in Chicago, and like she was coming and staying with me because she doesn't have to work. But like the nail in the coffin for her to like get rid of her apartment in Chicago was when riots started happening. Like we were like, okay, you got to get out of Chicago. Like,
Can't be near
this is
riots.
done. Like we can't be up there, a single woman by yourself. Like I can't handle that. So
Yeah.
she eventually moved down here with me.
Out to the country.
All with this job unfolding and kind of having an idea of like, hey, well, like, you can, maybe, do something there if this doesn't work back. She's working remotely at the time, right? So
Right. Like a lot of
she
people were.
continues to work remotely, while I go start working this job, right? And so I'm working for this guy for a long time, and now it's like November, December, and my dad calls me one day on my lunch break, and he's like, because my wife went home to visit her family,
Yeah.
like the last week of November, and she's going to be gone for like a month. And my dad
Right.
calls me and he goes, hey, now that she's not around, we can have this conversation. When are you gonna pop the question? I was like, well, I don't know. Like,
Oh,
I
pops.
really want to
come
pop.
on.
I really want to pop the question. He said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "I'm really ready." I mean, like I said, the point I was trying to get about COVID was, I mean, you were almost forced to live together, and you found out really quick if you were going to succeed as a couple or you were going to crumble.
Right. Oh,
And like
yeah.
that's what I meant earlier. Like I don't mean to stray from it, but that like there's going to be such
So
an
true.
interesting story to tell. The same story. Oh, we got married because we ended up getting forced to live together, and we realized how much we love each other, and like we actually got engaged really quickly because
We learned a
we
lot real
skipped all
quick.
these normal steps of living with each other, right? Like
Right.
I mean,
24.
you usually wait time, you give each other keys to each other's apartments, then you finally make this decision to live together. And like all that was thrown out the window. It was just like, no, you've got to come live with me if we're going to see each other all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So like,
Well,
it just
you
happens.
passed the
It
test.
happens so quick. So anyway,
You got an A.
fast forward. She's in Mexico with her family. My dad's asking me about this marriage thing. And I said, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, well then he goes, as an engagement gift, if you're gonna ask her to marry you,
Right.
get the ring, and we'll go down to Mexico and surprise her on Christmas
Oh,
Eve. And so he's like, but if you're gonna do this, you got to do it the right way, right? And so
be a gentleman.
I knew what he meant. I hung
Yep.
up with my dad. I called her dad. I said, hey, this is what I'd like to do. Do you think we can make this happen? Obviously
Get
I
his
asked him
blessing.
first, do I have your blessing? Right. And he said, of
Right.
course. And then I said, do you think we can make this happen? We want to fly down, and come in the night of the 24th where they have their Christmas that night.
And
And
where
surprise
in
them.
Mexico?
Torreon, which is in
Torreon. Good part.
Coahuila or something like. Pardon me if I'm messing that up, babe. Don't kill me.
Well, you're an Indiana person.
Yeah, man, I'm a gringa.
Yeah, gringa. Me too.
So yeah, for sure, buddy.
So you went to surprise. You went to little surprise, buddy.
Yeah. Oh man. Quick side story on the surprise. We all went as a family, right? Including my brother-in-law to be, who my sister was engaged to already. We all are on a small private plane, right? And this is no like high end. No, this is a small private plane that seats 8, and we're like 9.5.
Tight squeeze.
And dude, I hate. Side note about me, I hate flying. Not a big fan of it, especially in small planes. And so I'm in the middle, in the front row, and I could see right out. I could see both pilots, and I could see right out the front of the window. And so we take off down this runway, and one pilot, the one guy who's controlling something, the one guy who's controlling it is like asking like now, and he keeps asking now, and the other guy's like, no, not yet, and he's reading all the meters. And I'm just like, oh my God, we're getting dangerously close to the end of this runway.
Right.
And like finally, like at the very near end, the guy is just like, now, and he pulls up, and this thing just like scoots off the ground. I mean, one downwind, and we would have been hitting the ground again. And
it was like butter.
I mean, we barely got. Oh my gosh, it was okay after that because allegedly somebody brought some edibles and everything was okay.
Oh yeah.
Another shout out to East Coast Comics. We watched
shout out
Shane Gillis YouTube
Shane
special
Gillis. Hell
on the
of a
way
guy.
there, and we were like everyone on edibles, which was a majority of the plane, was laughing their asses off on this. So we kind of forgot about the fact that we could die at any minute. Overweight plane. Yeah, no, it was crazy. But we end up there, surprise of her life. Like, I went all full out suit and everything,
sharp as a knife. I've seen the
walk in. The only one, yeah. The only one that knew was her father and her brothers because they picked us up from the airport. So mom and sister and obviously my wife had no idea we were there. And man, it's just a great video. If you want to check it out, you can come stalk me. IG will be there.
We'll get a link to the old Wyatt IG.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
So
Wyatt, so she said yes.
She said yes, obviously, right? And so now, fast forward, here we are, another 2 years later, getting ready to go see her family again for Christmas, this past Christmas, and I come home late one night from dropping off my children. They live about an hour south of me, and come into the kitchen, and the wife's just sitting there, just minding her own, and she's like, "Oh, hey, babe, I got you something from Amazon."
Okay.
I was like,
"Well, Amazon gift."
And I am dead. I am dead tired, dude. I'm falling asleep on the car ride home, dead tired. And I open this up, and it's 2 pregnancy tests. And we have been trying for like a year and 2 months, somewhere in that period. And so like I am just like head over heels excited, right? I mean, I literally got so excited. I knew my mom was home for only like one more night before she headed back to PR. And I literally texted her right then and I was like, "Hey, are you watching the football game tonight?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm about to turn it on." I was like, "You mind if we come over and watch it with you?" And we did the same thing with her. We did, said we got her like an Amazon package or something like that. And she opened it up and freaked out, right? So, I mean, we were blessed with that. Yeah. And we got to go home to her family in Mexico and like bring that as our Christmas present, right? So that was like such a wonderful gift for us. And not only like that, it just, the gift kept giving. And I'm so blessed from God. Like I wanted nothing more than another girl. Like I love my boys, but the connection that you have as a father with your daughter, it's just, it's
hard to put the words.
Yeah, you can't compare it. And not only that, but I really like, my daughter's the type of daughter that like is like a mom already. Some of my friends had kids a little bit later than I did, so their kids are like half the age of mine. Yeah. And one of my best friends has a daughter, and last time we were hanging out, he kept kind of getting worried because it was just us dads, a bunch of dads hanging out, and kept getting worried looking after his daughter. And I told him, I was like, "Hey, dude, you don't need to worry. Like, she's with my daughter, and my daughter is like a mom, dude. She's not going to let her do anything she shouldn't be doing. I mean, she's the best." So like, I thought, now I'm starting to try to have a kid. I hope it's a girl because my daughter deserves a little sister. Like she truly does. And she really wanted one, and I told her, I was like, "Hey, if it's a boy, you have to understand, like, you got to keep it going. You can raise him different. You can help raise him differently. He doesn't have to be like your brothers because her brothers are like, they're 2 boys.
everyone.
They're boys through and through.
Boys are
my Lord.
Boys will be boys. So the same.
My Lord. I mean, they are
They're boys.
identical twins. I mean, they are one and the same. Like literally. I mean, it's funny, like you couldn't tell them apart for so long when they were infants. And until eventually one of the boys got a freckle on his foot. And so like, then people started saying,
finally,
I know. They'd be like, well, that's Carson and that's Raylan. And I'd be like,
got the freckle.
Well, you saw the freckle, right? And people were like, no. So then I started going to families' houses I would put a big Sharpie mark on each one of them in the same spot. And then nobody could figure out which one was which again. And I was like, oh yeah.
Dude,
you
I
guys
love that.
knew. Yeah, I know. I was always messing with them when it came to that. So yeah. Everyone was really excited. Like the boys weren't as excited when it was a girl, but my daughter and I like went bananas when we found out it was a girl. Like I think you've been to the clubhouse that's got like very high ceiling.
Oh yeah.
I threw her. It must have been 12 feet in the air. Like
I
mean, I tossed her. The fear in her eyes because she was so high in the air were like that's all I can remember seeing. Like, and then she came back down, and her and I just started like laughing and crying hysterically because we were gonna have a girl.
It's a beautiful thing.
I don't think I even gave my wife a hug until like 3 or 4 minutes into celebrating like we're having a girl, like because I was so excited about it with my daughter. So
I love it so much.
Yeah.
Brother Wyatt, I do. Unfortunately, I know we could probably do a novel. We could do a multiple part series.
There's a part 2 down the road in Texas.
Oh, or maybe up in old Indiana. Butcher Shop, a proper shout out. So where can we show some love to you or to the Butcher Shop?
You can show some love on Instagram at Yesteryears Market.
At Yesteryears Market.
Yep. And then, my Instagram's Wyatt McCloskey.
That's a good one.
Be glad to have you.
Well, Wyatt, man, hell of a time. Love catching up.
It was, man. Great time.
We got many good times ahead of us, brother. And
for sure.
I'll be seeing you up in the good old cornfields of Indiana in about
I hope so.
2-3 months.